Something I want to make extremely clear. I am a pest. I do not mind asking for stuff. I don't mind making requests. Now, I'm not demanding, but I like to see what's available. So I might be at a restaurant and say, hey, what's the chance I get one of those grilled shrimp on the side? I've even done, what's the chance I could get a side of bacon? And a lot of times it works. When I go to hotels, I don't just go, hey, do you have any upgrades? You have any rooms like such? I'll say, look, I do not care what room you give me. I have no preference, but I wouldn't mind having a room that I would love to tell everyone about. Ask. And that's what this passage is about today. Asking, seeking, knocking. My name's Paul Evans. I'm a student of Scripture and of spirituality. And we are walking through the core Christ consciousness of the Sermon on the Mount. If you hadn't already, subscribe to this channel and hit the notifications. Go to 1010lifeletter.com. 1010lifeletter.com and sign up for the newsletter. We each week send out a little thought for the week and also around Christ consciousness, and then also something just to help us with our day-to-day life. And then I'll link to the videos here on the channel as well. So let's continue our study. A little bit of a recap. In the last few episodes, we've talked about the eye that Jesus referred to back in Matthew 6, having a healthy eye. And we talked about not worrying and pursuing the kingdom. And we talked about not being judgmental, not looking at people through the eyes of judgment and trying to determine their value, especially not spiritual value. And so we come to this next section in chapter 7, verse 7, it says, ask and it will be given to you, seek and you'll find, knock and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and everyone who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks, the door will be open. So this often is taken like this completely separate topic and separate subject. And all I've got to do is ask and seek and knock, and I just get stuff. I do believe that we can pray and make requests or seek guidance and receive those answers. But I'm pretty big about staying within the context. What does this really mean? What are we asking for? What are we seeking? And what is the knocking? And in this case, I believe that it's highly related to what's already been covered. So when he was talking about that healthy eye, about that healthy outlook, that positive outlook, and not the dark eye or the negative outlook, he says, ask for that. Ask for that type of sight. Ask for the good eye. Then when he says, not only that, I want to make sure that you're looking and asking and seeking. Seek, ask for the good eye. Seek the kingdom. Remember, he said that at the end of chapter 6. Seek first the kingdom. He actually told us what to seek, right? So ask for that good eye. Seek the kingdom. And then when he says knock, what's this door we're knocking on? He just talked about judgment, the way that we see other people. And where does the way we see other people come from? What happens with that? It's where our heart is. So he says, knock on that door of the heart. Ask for the good eye, seek the kingdom, knock on the door of the heart. And then what's the promise out of that? It says everyone. It's not like just for this certain set of people. Everyone who seeks the good eye, guess what? It'll be given. I mean, everyone who asks for the good eye, it'll be given to them. If we ask, God, I want to be able to see clearer. I want to be able to see positively. I want to be able to see generously. I want to be able to see abundantly. I'm tired of looking through these eyes and these lenses of lack. I want to be able to see this way. He says, it'll be given. It will be given if you're making that type of request. Not, hey, I want to ask for this stuff in my life and I want to ask for more cars and a bigger house. I'm not saying there's anything wrong to ask for that, but it's much more essential that we're looking at life through a good lens and ask for that type of vision than getting stuff. than stacking up the physical, right? So I'm going to ask for the good eye, good vision. I'm going to seek first the kingdom. Everyone who seeks the kingdom first, it says it will be found. It will be located. Anybody who seeks it finds it. If we're going to go out and look for this kingdom, and don't forget too, and we'll cover this at some point, that Jesus said the kingdom is within you. Anyone who seeks that kingdom, anyone who seeks that truth, anyone who seeks that centeredness is going to find it. So this is a seeker. This is not a just simply I'm coasting around, we're going out for a nice drive. That this is very intentional. I'm seeking the kingdom. I'm going after the kingdom. It will be found. I have so many people in my life, and I've lived this way for years, that it wasn't an act of seeking. I'm just hoping things work out. I'm just hoping to become more spiritual. I'm just hoping to be able to hear from God. It was a lot of hoping and not a lot of seeking. It was a lot of wishing, but not a lot of activity. So those things are very linked. And then finally, knock on the door of the heart and it will be open. Knock on the door of the heart and it will be open. What's this about? People who judge other people are closed. They've got a very closed heart. And I will tell you, for years, I lived a very closed heart. Not that I was judging others, it was just that I wasn't letting other people in. I was very close to relationships, very close to anybody getting close to me. I think a lot of that had to do with feeling abandonment from my biological father. And when my wife passed away in my arms in my mid-20s, this sense of loss. I had to be careful. I had to shut my heart down. I had to close it to protect myself. And instead, I would look out to other people and not be very compassionate and not be very caring and not be very loving. So he says, if you'll knock on the door of the heart, it'll be opened. You'll become more accepting. You'll become more loving. And he says this next in verse 9, which of you, if your son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a snake? If you then, though you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him? Sometimes we're afraid of asking, afraid of seeking, and afraid of knocking because we're afraid of what we'll receive. We're afraid of what we'll find. And we're afraid of what we'll become. And here the promise is, look, you as a human being, your human side, your self side, know how to give good gifts to your kids or know how to give good gifts to your family. You know what a good gift looks like. How much more will the Spirit supply the goodness of what we ask for, of what we seek, and what we knock? So here, it's basically a trust in all of these things. Trust that God is generous. It's a generous God, not a stingy God. Trust the abundant absolute. Abundant absolute. Not stingy, not lacking, not, let me look around, see if I got enough for you. Okay, you're seeking and you're asking, you're knocking. Let me see if I've got anything. No, abundant absolute. And the lavish love that we think about consciousness and we think about ultimately what is this all about. We almost all in agreement, regardless of background, regardless of religion, say it's all about love. We say that's the core, right? That's the true thing. What's a lavishing love? It's an unconditional love. It has no restraints. It has no barriers. It has no limits. So he's saying if you're going to ask and seek and knock, and if your kids ask, sought, or knock, or your friends ask, sought, or knock, guess what you would do? You'd give them something good. With good stuff's here as well. And then there's a final little piece that we're going to cover next week. It says, so in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. It sums up the law and the prophets. In other words, this asking, this seeking, and knocking is not just about us. It's about what we become in this world and become to everyone around us. So we're going to dive into that a lot deeper next week. What it means to do to others as we would have them do to us. I mean, that's pretty strong. We call it the golden rule, and we'll find out next week why. And we'll look at a lot of other passages and a lot more about the heart of Christ, this consciousness of Christ that we are supposed to be living in. Until then, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to seek. Don't be afraid to knock. Everyone who asks receives. Everyone who seeks finds. And everyone who knocks, the door is opened. Be blessed.